Hey everybody, it's Pastor Vern with your daily update for August 20th, 2020. There's a lot of 20s in that one. Um, we continue on with the books of the Bible. We've been in the Old Testament, and this one in the Old Testament has contradicts a little bit some of the things we've talked about recently in the sermons with the book of Matthew. Last week we talked about in the book of Matthew. If you want to go back and look at that, if you don't recall or haven't seen it, um, that Jesus goes outside of Hebrew territory for the only time in his ministry that we find recorded, and he encounters a Canaanite woman, a Gentile, and there was a time when he tells this woman that he's just here for the lost tribes or lost sheep of Israel, and through her faith, through her persistence, through her love for her child, Jesus feels compassion towards her and heals her and realizes that she has faith in the Hebrew God, even though she wasn't raised with that belief. And so it kind of opens a door. It kind of opens a door for the Gentiles to be a part of Jesus's ministry too. But this isn't the first time in the history of God that this has happened, the history of the world. Jonah is a unique book in the Bible because of the dramatic circumstances that Jonah finds himself in. But it's also a book where God is reaching out beyond what he calls his chosen people, because he sends Jonah to Nineveh to tell them about God. Now, Nineveh is not part of the territory that would have been part of the Hebrew territory. Wouldn't have been a place where the Hebrew God would have been worshipped in any great amount of people. Anyway, there was always some folks that are scattered around the world. But we get into this story about Jonah being swallowed up by excuse me, by a great fish, and riding around in the fish's belly until he's spit up on the shore, I guess you'd say. The reason he is swallowed by the fish is he tries to escape the job that God has given him to go to Nineveh and to tell them about God. And this is one of those that is really really difficult to picture in a realistic way. What happened here, we don't know exactly, of course, but it's recorded as truth and fact. That Jonah we have some evidence that Jonah was a real person, that this isn't a made up story. Jonah was a real prophet that God had called to go outside his comfort zone. He was a man who challenged God, that God gave him a task, and he challenged God that he wasn't going to do it, tried to run away from it. But how this works with the fish and all that, I don't know. I've understood that over the years, as this has been studied, that there are certain great fish in the ocean who can gobble up folks, but they can't get into the part of the whale where they're consumed. I don't know how else to put that. So I don't know exactly how all this worked. It's one of those mysteries of faith. But what we do know is God was reaching out to the Gentiles in this trip that Jonah was supposed to make, and Jonah was running away. And what we see in this story more than anything, it's a futile effort to try to avoid God's call if God is calling you. I mean, God's going to find a way to get your attention. It may not be a big fish. It may be something else. I think in my case, it was a scenario of things that he laid in place that said, okay, I'm going to get your attention, and you're going to make some changes in your life to do something that I want you to do for a period of time. So Um, it's one of those things where we find that if God has a purpose for us, I think He has a purpose for all of us. But if He has a specific mission for us, He's going to find a way for us to convince us to do that, even if we're vindictive and self-absorbed, or even if we don't believe necessarily. God's going to find a way to bring us around to His thinking. It's really a fascinating story when you read it. I know it's one we use a lot in for kids to capture their imagination. But try to go into the book of Jonah if you get a chance and do some reading in there, and try to erase from your mind your doubt that this incident could have happened in the way it's described in the Bible, and just take it for what it is. It's a short book. It's 4 chapters. It's fairly easy reading, and so it might be worth a look sometime if you're feeling moved to read something a little bit different out of the scriptures. All right. Well, you take good care of yourselves. Watch out for others the best you can in our current situation, and stay safe. See you later.